Hello everyone and welcome to another live expert interview. My name is Lucy Challenger. I'm the CEO of Polo Tweed and I am joined today by a fabulous person, Christian Olsson. Hi Christian, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, I know Christian very well. I met him many years ago, another lifetime ago it seems, through my husband Ben, who is also an Olympic athlete. And I had the pleasure of meeting Christian, meeting his beautiful wife, and spending lots of time with them in these amazing places around the world. So I've long since followed Christian's career. He has been perhaps one of the most famous and successful athletes in Sweden and within his own discipline. But for anyone who perhaps has not been into athletics or doesn't watch TV, maybe Christian, you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, you know, the amazing career you've had, and share that with us.
Yeah, sure. I'm 40 years old. I started athletics when I was 10 years old in Sweden, Gothenburg, and did all different kinds of events, which more or less ended me up with becoming a jumper. So I did both high jump, I did long jump, I did triple jump, and then I even narrowed that one down to becoming a triple jumper and a high jumper for a while. But when I qualified for the Olympic Games at the year when I was 20 years old, 2000 in Sydney, in triple jumping, not in high jump, I decided to only go for triple jump, and that was also a choice I made because we had two other good high jumpers in Sweden already, but no triple jumpers, so it was a little bit more open road for me. So I had a 22-year long career. I was able to win everything that you could win. So I was very fortunate. I was very lucky to be able to stay healthy and train as I wanted to do. So I won European Championship, the World Championship, both indoors and outdoors, and then I also claimed the Olympic title in 2004. So it's been a fantastic journey for me to do, and I'm very appreciative of it. And I know it's not many people get to do have such a successful career. But in all honesty, even if I wouldn't have been that successful if I didn't have all those medals. It would have been an amazing journey anyway, because I got to follow a dream and try to really accomplish something along that way.
Wow, I mean, it's phenomenal, the story, the journey you've been through. I mean, so like you say, taking part in it is why predominantly you did it, but your success and your achievements, I mean, so few people have done that with their lives, and so many, you know, youngsters and people around you must look up to you and think, wow, if only I can achieve even a small amount of what Christian's done, I would feel great. So I mean it's amazing. And speaking from a very amateur knowledge of athletics that I have, triple jump is quite technical, isn't it? There's you know, I mean, obviously all disciplines are technical, and pole vault, you've got to throw yourself high up into the air and all of these things, but triple jump, could you explain to people what makes it so challenging and so technical as a discipline?
I like to do a comparison between triple jump and long jump, because most people get to try long jump some time during their school career or something like that, and long jump is, you know, you have a run up about 40 meters or something like that, and then you take off from a board, and you can do, you know, as much as you want. You can, you know, pull out as much strength as you want in one jump, and then you land in the pit in a soft sand, and that's it. In triple jump, is most things are the same. You need the same training. You need to be fast on the runway. You need to take off from a board. But in triple jump, it's a balancing act, because every hop and step and jump, which is the three phases in the triple jump, needs to build of the one that came before it. And if you do like the hop and you take off like a long jumper, you will mess up the step and the jump, because there's no way that you can handle that kind of forces that a long jumper uses when he comes down in soft sand, while we have to come down on the ground again and move forward for another two steps, or hop and step and jump. So it's very difficult, because when you get into a situation which is competitive, when you go up against other people, you want to go out there and you feel the adrenaline pumping, and you want to go and you wanted to do this really amazing jump, or a big jump, and you have to calm down, because you have to stay within this focus that you have to balancing everything along the way. So to do it in very nice rhythm and so on, so that becomes it. And also it's not a very natural thing to do triple jump, because you can choose either you jump the hop on the right, and then you do the step on the right, and then you do the jump on the left, or the opposite. One of your countrymen, which is still the world record holder, Jonathan Edwards, he did the opposite. So he did left, left, right, and I do right, right, left. That's also maybe a part where you could recognize me a little bit, because when I came up in 2001, he was number one and I was a challenger for him, and then we became like dueling with each other. But back to the triple jump, and it's difficult to understand how technical it is until you really do it, because it's most because it's unnatural to do, bicycle step in the air and then come down on the same leg again, and then you move forward and try to finish off with a long jump. But I think also that's one part of my talent, was that I was good with the technical stuff. Not the fastest guy in triple jump or in 60 meters when I was younger, but if you put 60 meters running, just running, then I was maybe fifth or sixth place. But if you put 60-meter hurdles, which came another technical aspect, then all of a sudden I was top three. So for me, it was more like the challenge of the technical part that I think brought me to a high level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Among with other things.
That obviously really excited you, that technical element of it, to sort of challenge you, I guess, mentally as well as physically, right? It's not, I mean, a sprinter has to run in one direction very fast, whereas, like you say, with the hop and the jump and the skip, there's so much happening. Looking back at your life, you said that you started doing sport, to a high level from a very young age, 10 onwards. What was it that was that transition from a young man, young boy loving sport, to deciding, this is it, I'm going to do this professionally? Because so many people out there, particularly young boys and girls, would love to become professional athletes, but that transition's hard to make. What was it in your own journey that was that sort of deciding factor?
I would say it wasn't just, at one point in time that I said that now I'm going for an amateur to try to become a professional. So for me, it was more like step by step, escalating the frequency of how much I trained and how much time I was putting into it. And I was also very fortunate that my step from junior to senior scene, going from junior competitions all the way up to the highest level of competition, also went very, very fast for me. Some people have a very long transition period going from that, because it's such a big difference. But my biggest point of developing result wise came at that point where I was a junior elite in Europe to becoming a senior elite in the world. So for me, I think I might not be the best person to ask that question, how I did that transition, because it went so fast.
Yeah.
It literally went on in one season for me to go from being a junior jumping 16 meters 50 to the next year where I jumped 1750 and became number 2 in the world. And I have seen people who struggle with that, and I realized that it can become a very difficult step to make. But for me, it was fairly easy.
Wow. And I mean, that speed that you transition from amateur to professional, I mean, mentally, that's a huge leap as well. It's not just a physical leap, no pun intended, that you're doing. It's a mental leap. And obviously through your career, you've had these huge achievements that us mere mortals will never, ever experience. So could you share with us perhaps, and I know it will be hard to pick one, but could you perhaps share, one of the greatest experiences or greatest achievements you felt, and what it felt like to achieve it? It might not necessarily be the Olympic medal, but it might be something that was, it might be that, but what it actually felt to experience it, to do it, and to achieve it.
Well, how, of course, like you said, the Olympic medal, the gold medal is really a big achievement for me, and the biggest dream I had within the sport. But if I step out of that and just go back maybe a little bit to the previous question of stepping from junior to senior, I would say that one competition where I really did it was 2001 in when I was 21 years in Athens, no, in Crete in Greece. I came there. I had to travel all on my own. I flew to Crete. I landed late, like 11 p.m. at night. As an athlete, where you're coming up, you're not able to choose your roommate. So I went in. I was sleeping with a 50-year-old Greek who's already sleeping, and he was going to do some race for 50K. So it was the old man's race or anything. So I couldn't speak with him. But okay, so I went to bed. Woke up the next day, felt great. The perfect weather. Went to arena, small arena, maybe maximum 1,000 spectators. Didn't expect too much. I had jumped just over 17 meters, but I was around maybe ranked 20 in the world. So I was really proud of that. But still, I felt like I was just one of many people. And in my first attempt at the competition, I jumped 17:49, and I broke the Swedish record. I went from being 20 in the world to second, just behind Jonathan Edwards.
Oh,
And I remember the next day I had to make a transition between Crete and flying back home, and I had to do a transit in Athens. And from that point where I was turning my phone off early in the morning in Crete, where I landed in Athens, my phone exploded. So I came in and I had like 20, 30 missed calls. I had 50, 60 text messages, and everybody was from the national coach to media to friends to family and everybody. And it had spread throughout Sweden like a rapid fire that I had become second ranked triple jumper in the world. For me, that was the biggest change I have ever felt. I went from, being one of many to being somebody who was in the spotlight for World Championship in Edmonton 2001 and a medal candidate. And from a country like Sweden, where we usually have maybe 1-2 chances of medals, to coming from almost nowhere to becoming, a serious medal candidate. That was a big thing in Sweden. So I went from, nobody knowing me to people saying hello in the streets and so on. So it was a real crazy time.
that must have been very surreal. And a thing with athletics which really I find quite profound, having seen it through my husband and knowing your journey, is so much achievement happens at such a young age. I mean, I look back to when I was 21 and oh my gosh, like if I'd had that sudden dramatic, and like for you it wasn't just a slow burn, it happened like you say over, like within a couple of hours, it huge transformation for the rest of your life. I mean, for people listening and watching, it's really hard for them to get their heads around. And I think, like I always believe in the mantra that you should believe in the journey and not be always looking at the goal, because if you're always looking at that goal, that Olympic medal, you never experience the journey in that moment, which obviously was quite a profound one. But would you have any top tips that you could share with the listeners to how they should try to achieve professional sport, or even just be better at the sport they're doing? What would be a couple of things that you could share from your own perspective that really helped you with your journey in sport?
Well, I think it's really important to set up your goals, to have the big goals, to have those dreams. Like for me, it was Olympic gold medalist, or just becoming a star in athletics. But if you only have the big goals, it's going to be a very difficult journey, because you're going to feel like you're not accomplishing anything along the way. And it's a long journey. Even though it happened for me overnight, it wasn't overnight for practice. I had been doing that for 11 years up till that point where it really changed for me. So having a lot of goals, but side goals, small goals, maybe a goal for the day, a goal for the week, goal for a month or the year. And also to put a plan in place, because if you have a goal and you want to achieve it, you're not going to do that if you don't put down a plan to do that and try to get the right tools to make that happen. So I feel that's very, very important to do. Also, I'd say well, you know, it's to be patient, and realize that every journey is different. For me, like I said, it went fast. For others, Jonathan Edwards, 29 years old when he broke the world record. I was 24 when I took the Olympic gold, and so it's going to be different for everyone. So don't look at the person next to you, what they're accomplishing now. Stay on the path where you're at, and believe that you can do it as well, because you could do it when you're 20, you can do it when you're 30, at least when you look at the sport perspective. So just be, believe that your journey is the right one, because you have tailored it around yourself, and just like you're a unique person, you're unique also physically and mentally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that sort of speed that your career exploded, and then the years you had through, the training and the competitions and traveling the world, it must have been very difficult, because I know from, again, my own husband, that an athlete, when they have to retire, it's a really difficult decision to make, because you're doing what not only you're very good at, but you also love with every inch of your bones, and you wouldn't have achieved what you have achieved if you hadn't had that mental, all-encompassing love for it. So when you transitioned and you retired and you left the professional world, what was that transition like, and how do you set new goals for yourself? Because if Olympic gold was your goal, and suddenly you have a different goal now, how do you adjust to that? How do you find new goals, and what goals do you have in life now?
Well, I was very fortunate as well. I became a dad just at the end of my career, so I got a lot of perspective of what I was doing. I didn't feel like it was life and death anymore, because I felt the priority wasn't lying with me anymore. It was with my son, Elliot, and now I also have a daughter. But at that time, I felt that. So that really eased my transition from letting go of the dream. Uh, you know that you, at one point or another, as an athlete, you're going to need to do a transition. You're going to have to say that I can't do this anymore. Unfortunately for me, I had to do it because of injuries. I hope that every athlete could be able to do it on their own terms, just because they felt like I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore, or I don't want to do this anymore, and not be forced to stop like I was. So transition for me was in the beginning very hard, because I identified myself like a triple jumper, as a sports person, and as a successful athlete, you're sort of in the center of the universe, because everything is circling around you, with your coach, with your manager, with media, with the competitions and everything. And all of a sudden you're lifting, you're putting yourself in somebody else's universe. You start circling around them. So but I was also fortunate that I worked as a sports manager for 6 years, which meant I could work with other people following their dreams, and try to maybe use my career as my base for how to coach them through it, and help them with what I did good, but also what they could do better. So I was really happy with that. But now COVID-19 has arrived.
Yeah.
Our industry has been paralyzed, so I'm starting a new career just a few days ago. So now I'm going to sell cars.
Cool. Well, I like cars, so I might be giving you a call to help me find another one. Oh, that's so fab. So, I mean, part of training, and I know from my small insight into the world that you spent so many years in, you go through these big emotions, and there's joy, and there's laughter, and there's tears, and there's disappointment. Can you, and I know it's a hard question to ask, but can you think of perhaps one funny or unusual, or I know you've shared the story about the time that your career just exploded, but could you tell us any funny stories or any funny moments you had through your professional career as an athlete? Or could you share one with us?
Absolutely, I have many. I have a few is involving Russia. It's a fun place to go to compete. In 2003, Russia and Moscow had an idea of combining a huge athletics competition with the most and talented and best artists in Russia. So they call it the Moscow Challenge, and this one landed after the whole season was over. We did the Grand Prix final, I think, in Monaco, and then we flew directly to Moscow. We were going to be, I think, 8 people in each event, so no trials, no nothing, just pure finals in all over. And the main event was going to be the 100 meters with Justin Gatlin, and they were going to win $500,000 for the winner. And all other events had a prize sum of $50,000 for, so which was a lot of money for triple jumpers and all the others. Usually it's only the Grand Prix final that produces that. But anyway, we landed, and we got on into the hotel, and then we got the weather forecast, and it was saying that it was going to be rain and about 14 degrees and high winds and so on. So we said, okay, not the best weather to compete in. And the next morning we woke up and it was clear blue skies, and it turns out that they had shot up missiles into the clouds with chemicals and dispersed the clouds. So we were really impressed because we had nice weather, but there was a problem with this, and it was that the cold air from higher level up in the air started to stream down in the middle of September. Which meant that when the evening came, it was unnatural. It started to drop the temperature, and so they knew that this was going to happen. So they placed these gas burners out on the field. So we were standing on this, and it dropped down to 2 degrees Celsius when I was competing, and we were standing out underneath this, just keeping warm. And then we ran, and then when 2 people had jumped, they turned the lights off at the stadium, and they put the lights up on a big stage, and like a really famous violinist came up and she played some fantastic music, and then they put on the lights again and we competed, and I actually won the competition. I was really happy about that. But then the 100-meter race was going to go, and the temperature kept dropping, and it went down to below 0. So it was -2 degrees when they were going to run, and everybody was like freezing. But $500,000 can make anybody want to run. So they did the competition, and Gatlin won. And when everybody was finished with the meet, all the winners were giving Tsar costumes. So we were like Tsars in Russia with a crown, and it was really nice. It was heavy. And then they brought in these horses with carriages. So everybody got like 3 horses on a carriage, and we went around the stadium with these Tsars costumes, and like waving at people. And then we took pictures all together, and I still have that costume at home. And that was probably the craziest competition I've ever been in. Like I said, in Russia, and only in Russia.
I love that. We have a weather problem. Let's fire some missiles, and then we'll have horses and chariots and Tsar costumes and
And the triple jump was fairly okay. We were not so much interrupted with this music, but when the long jump competition for women came about, it was like for every other single jump they were standing around, and it was cold. They were standing there in the summer competition with the shorts and the top, and they were freezing. But everybody was thinking it's the last competition, let's just get through it. We said yes, we were going to do it, so now we're doing it.
Let's get through it. And you don't want to upset the Russians in Russia, because you might not.
No, I have a feeling maybe half of the payment came from somewhere we shouldn't ask about.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing experience. Well, one day when your son is grown up, he'll have to wear the outfit. And
it's in my parents' attic, that thing.
Amazing. So we've talked about your journey and your training journey, and it might seem like an obvious question, because I think more and more, especially younger generations, we're confronted with success without necessarily seeing how the success came about. So you look up to famous actors or athletes, and you think, oh, I want to be like that one day, but you don't recognize the journey it took to get there. As you said, some quicker than others. So how important was the act of training in your journey to success?
Well, it's like you say, you only see the tip of the iceberg, and it's only the tip is above the surface. It's everything below. And I mean, it was thousands of mistakes and retries and everything. And but the training is where you do the work. It's where you know get everything into your system, the power, the speed, the technical stuff, and it's repetition over and over and over again. I mean, I did some of my exercises when I was 10 years old. I still did when I was 30 years old. So it's repetition over and over again, and it's just like physical condition. When you run, you get what you deserve. You have more stamina if you do a lot of practice, and just like that with movement, you need to do it over and over again to make it the way you want, because you can see an exercise with your eyes, but to translate that into making your body do it is easy. You try to do something well which a dancer does, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you never look the same as a dancer who has done it like 1,000 times. So I think that 10,000 hour rule is very applicable to sport as well. You just need to keep doing it over and over again, and I think I learned the most from my failures than I did from my successes. Because when I did something good, I was happy. I didn't think too much about it. I was just happy, and I went home. And when I did something bad or I lost, I was pissed, and it kept rolling over and over in my head. So I think important part of being a star is also maybe saying yes to doing documentaries, because if you only just do sports shows for 5 minutes or something, it shows when you're on your way to a big championship, whatever, it's easy to think that it's easy to get to that point where you're able to go to the Olympic Games or anything, or compete for medal. But if you follow somebody around on a daily basis, to get a feel for how important every detail is for an elite athlete, from how much you sleep to what you eat, how you recover, what you do when you train. It's not the one who trains the most that becomes the best. It's the one who trains the best that becomes the best, because it's like I said, you're unique. You need to find the recipe for you. Even though you and me could do maybe 95% of the same kind of training, you will have 5% different. And just look at us and monkeys. It's a big difference between us, but it's only a few percent, isn't it?
I think, Christian, I'll have a lot more than 5% difference to you if you and I train the same way. I think I would struggle to jump like outside of my car, let alone like.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know that because you didn't try 10,000 hours, and maybe you'd be great at it.
Maybe, but that's for
Yeah.
another life.
Yeah.
Not for now. After having a baby, I think those days of intensive training, never to your level, but are gone. But so obviously at the moment we're in a bizarre world pandemic of COVID-19, and training for athletes, for mere mortals like myself, has changed, because gyms in the UK have shut down. Coaches, if international coaches working with athletes in different countries, are going home. So now we're doing a lot more online digital training. Do you see a place for online e-learning training from both your perspective in terms of a physicality? Do you think that's possible to do?
Absolutely. I mean, we need to adapt. The situation we have is the one we need to work with, and I mean, some parts of it will always be difficult to accomplish at the same type of level as we did before COVID-19. But a lot of it, like studying or doing physical exercises or being instructed, can be made from online and videos and so on. So I myself had done some studying, distance studying. I don't know if that's the word in English, but just being on camera and so on. And even though I find it difficult, it still gives me the knowledge and the possibilities of keep developing myself. If we can't be in the same room with 25 other people, but we can't be in the same chat room as 25 other people. So I say this is a fantastic way to compensate for not being able to do that.
Yeah.
So
No,
I mean,
it's interesting because it's slightly on a tangent, but one of the modules that we teach with my e-learning is about body language and about posture and about walking and about presenting yourself in professional situations, both from working, but also if you want to learn for yourself, you know, because we all want to be aware of how we hold ourselves. And one of the big things I've noticed with, you know, body language and posture is it's directly related to strength and fitness and well-being. And if someone has poor muscles in their chest or their back, it affects how they stand. And a lot of students that come through us say to us, well, how can we improve body language? And so we say, well, go on the internet and find, you know, exercise classes, find coaches. The internet's so amazing to connect us around the world now. And I think even professional athletes still working now have now a huge resource that perhaps, you know, when you were younger, you didn't have, to connect with coaches around the world and to find new techniques and ideas of things, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially what you say. I mean, we have all around the world, some people have unique talents or unique knowledge, and now it's a possibility to take, you know, use that knowledge, because you can do it through chat rooms or video conferences or anything, and that wasn't possible before, because before you needed to travel all the way over there. And so I mean, it's an opportunity, and instead of seeing it as an obstacle, I think we should see it as an opportunity. I mean, in sports we've been using video for a long time, maybe not like this, but you know, as a tool for filming when we're training or anything. So why not use it as a more developing tool?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, Christian, it has been such a joy to see you and to speak with you today. And I could talk to you all day about this, because, you know, I'm invested personally with my husband, but also it's lovely to hear your stories and to hear just a glimpse into this phenomenal experience that has been your life. So thank you so much for joining me today. For anyone who's tuning in and would like to follow Christian, he is of course on Instagram, and his handle on Instagram is Christian_Olsson with a double S. So you can go and you can follow Christian and keep up with all his journey now and into the future. And once again, Christian, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for sharing everything with me.
Thanks, Lucy, for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.